Their investigation involves questioning everyone in the little boy's circle, including the last person to see him that day. Grandmother Dorothy Parsons was asked by police to recreate the final moments before he disappeared. This process of hooking up the dog, how long did that take?
Seconds. Like we redid it with the police, and he said he timed it in about 18 seconds.
Grandma's lying, at least that's my opinion. And it's not just because she was the last person to see her 3-year-old grandson alive. So in today's video, let's watch her interview with Canadian Press and count the red flags. I'm Deception Detective, an attorney trained in statement analysis. This channel exposes lies and manipulation, so if that's your thing, hit subscribe. For exclusives, early access, and other cool perks, consider becoming a channel member. Link in description. If you're new to this case, that's because it was sadly underreported back in 2020 when it happened. The only reason I know about it is because I was analyzing another missing child case from Nova Scotia with similar case facts, Lily and Jack Sullivan. Fortunately, the interview we're about to analyze does a good job of setting the table, so it doesn't matter if this is the first video you're seeing in this series. So there's just one thing I want to go over before we grab our deception decks and start analyzing Grandma's story. And it's this: just because someone is lying, that doesn't mean they're covering up a crime, let alone a felony. They could be trying to cover up something embarrassing or shameful or some other sort of attendant guilt. In other words, detecting deception is just step one. Then we have to figure out why someone is lying. All right, without further ado, let's listen.
Their investigation into Dylan's disappearance involves questioning everyone in the little boy's circle, including the last person to see him that day in May of 2020. Grandmother Dorothy Parsons was asked by police to recreate the final moments before he disappeared. This process of hooking up the dog, turning your back on Dylan, how long did that take?
Seconds. Like we redid it with the police, and he said he timed it in about 18 seconds.
18 seconds you didn't have your eyes on Dylan, and he was gone.
Yeah.
In that time, Dylan would have had to run at least 81 meters between the fence, across a neighbor's backyard, and through brush to get down to the brook.
I've already pointed out a couple red flags with Grandma's story in earlier videos in this series, so I'll link the playlist at the end rather than rehashing all that here. Instead, I want to point out two huge problems I have with what she just said. The first is the reasonableness of her story. I've put my Assessing Stories card from my Deception deck, my 52 favorite rules for spotting lies and manipulation, on your screen so you can read more about it. But the gist is that the story just doesn't sound believable, and even the producers of the documentary seem to be hinting at it with that little montage they just did of all the places he would have had to run through in those 19 seconds. Moreover, he would have had to run all that distance without making any noise to alert his grandma, or leaving any trace at all of the path he took. My second big problem is how she actually answered the question. The journalist asked her about how long it took to chain up her dog, and I would have expected her to tell us how long it took her on the day Dylan disappeared, and maybe as well as the day that she did the reenactment. But she only said how long it took her to do it on the day of the reenactment, which makes me wonder if she didn't do it the day Dylan disappeared. And if that's the case, what was she doing? All right, let's keep listening to see if we can find out.
Once they found out how much Dylan likes water, they went with that, stuck with that, wouldn't even entertain any other scenario whatsoever, even though I'm telling them that I think he was taken.
You told the police that right off the bat?
Yeah, I did. And I said it 3 or 4 times. I think he was taken.
While Dorothy believes Dylan was snatched, her own daughter and Jason think she's holding back vital information about what happened that day.
Did your dog get away? Did you put your dog inside? Did you make a mistake and you're just not saying it? I just know something's wrong. I've felt it since day one.
Jason and Ashley both feel as though there's just something missing and that you're not sharing it because you're scared of getting charged criminally with neglect.
There's nothing that's a secret. Even I know there's something not right. There's a puzzle piece missing.
And you don't have the piece of that puzzle?
And I don't have it. I don't have that piece.
According to Dorothy, she took 3 different lie detector tests. She says her version of events has never wavered.
Are you responsible for your grandson's disappearance?
In my mind, yes. Reality, probably yes. Because he was with me and I turned my back. So I'll always feel responsible. Like, I'm just sorry that I even brought him outside. And if I could get those 18 seconds back.
Every time she tells a story, she seems to shave off another second of how long she had her back turned, but that's not the reason I paused. The reason I paused is I think she's telling the truth when she says that she's responsible. I think she 100% is. And I hope you noticed, if you're a longtime viewer of my channel, how many times she used the number 3. She took 3 polygraphs. She told the police 3 times that Dylan had been kidnapped, which is the liar's number. And it's known as that because when people tell fibs, it's often the number that they come up with, 3. I also hope longtime subscribers recognized how peculiar it is for someone to say that he must have wandered off in one breath and then be so convinced that he must have been abducted the next. This is something we see guilty parents of missing children do time and time again on the channel. Because they know they're guilty of something, they're too afraid to admit any guilt at all. So the only theory that they're left with that they can push is a stranger abduction. So it's no surprise that's the one they go for time and time again, and I'm not surprised this grandma's going for it either, because I think she is 100% responsible, whether it's because she was neglectful or something more nefarious. To determine that, we'll need to keep listening, but one last thing before we do. My main reasons for thinking that Dylan's dad is innocent and completely uninvolved is because he turned against the grandmother. This is something we see innocent parents do if their kid disappeared without a trace, and there's no reason to suspect anyone but the last person who was with them alive. They accuse that person, whether it's their spouse, their mother-in-law, or anything else.
You call your mom Dorothy.
I do.
Why?
After my son went missing, I can't look at her. I can't speak to her. I don't want her in my life. I don't consider her a mother anymore.
This has ripped your life apart in every way.
It really has.
This tragedy has fractured a family and divided a small town. It's also put a spotlight on the way police investigated the case of a 3-year-old who vanished almost without a trace.
When a 3-year-old goes missing, that's generally alarm bells go off immediately.
Mm-hmm.
When did police alert the public that Dylan was missing?
4:30 p.m.
How many hours after the 911 call is that?
3 hours.
You're telling me they waited 3 hours before issuing an alert that a 3-year-old was missing?
Yeah. Yeah. Breaks my heart. I believe that he could have had a chance. I think they screwed up.
A public alert wasn't issued until 3 hours and 8 minutes after the 911 call. It took almost 2.5 hours before search and rescue had boots on the ground.
It's almost as if the police found the boots in the water. So that's their answer. Case solved.
You believe they found those boots, and it was from then on, it was in their head. He fell in the brook.
They never treated Dylan's case like a criminal investigation. They just treated it like a search and rescue. I know that they didn't block off any streets. They didn't stop the public from coming into the crime scene or the area that he went missing. And they were very late on issuing alerts and getting help. You know, so I think that tunnel vision did have a play in that. And once they found the boots, and that was it. That's where he went, and essentially the police tell us that we need to accept it and move on.
Remember, the official search was canceled after 6 days. So frustrated and so desperate, Jason began conducting his own searches, sometimes 2 and 3 a week. He also scraped together enough money to hire a private investigator.
I can accept the drowning theory if everything else has been eliminated.
Dave Worrell is a former RCMP detective.
Every time I put up a new video, I get new eyeballs and new subscribers, so thank you for watching and thank you for subscribing. If you haven't seen the other videos in this series, just know that we're watching this documentary together. I've not seen this part either. So if you want to watch this PI section of the documentary together in the next video, let me know by liking, commenting, and sharing. Check the end card for my Dylan Ayler and Lillian Jack Sullivan playlists. Until next time, stay true.